Welcome to Phantom Astronaut's Midnight Mystery School, where we explore the eerie, the unexplained, and the strange forces that shape our world. Tonight, we delve into a concept that exists in the shadows of both the supernatural and the psychological, a force that emerges from collective thought, belief, and emotion. This is the story of the egregore. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue our exploration of these dark mysteries, bringing more stories of the unknown to light. Be sure to check the links in the description for other ways to support the channel. The concept of the egregore is as mysterious as it is unsettling. An egregore, at its core, is an autonomous psychic entity created by the collective thoughts, beliefs, and emotions of a group of people. In occultism and esoteric traditions, egregores are thought to be real, living forces, manifestations of group consciousness, capable of influencing the world around them and even exerting control over those who created them. But egregores are not just a product of occult thought. The idea of collective consciousness and the power of shared belief can be found in ancient religious traditions, in the works of philosophers, and even in modern psychology. Whether seen as a supernatural force or a psychological phenomenon, the egregore represents the power of the human mind to create something larger than the sum of its parts. To understand the origins of the egregore, we must first travel back to ancient times, when the concept of collective spiritual entities first began to take shape. The roots of the egregore concept can be traced back to ancient religious practices. In ancient Greece, the word egregoros referred to a watcher or guardian, often associated with angelic or semi-divine beings that kept watch over humanity. These watchers, according to some traditions, were powerful entities that acted as intermediaries between the gods and mankind. But it was in esoteric and occult thought that the idea of the egregore truly took on a life of its own. In the Kabbalistic tradition, the term egregore was used to describe powerful spiritual forces created by the collective will and ritual practice of a group. These forces were thought to be able to manifest in the physical world, influencing events, and even taking on an independent existence. Some believed that these entities could grow in power over time, feeding on the energy of the group that created them, and even gaining a form of consciousness. In later occult traditions, particularly in 19th and early 20th century Western esotericism, the idea of egregores evolved further. Secret societies and occult orders, such as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, were thought to generate powerful egregores through their rituals, symbols, and shared beliefs. These egregores acted as protectors and guides for the group, but there were also warnings. Egregores could become malevolent, taking on a will of their own, and turning against those who summoned them. But egregores are not confined to the realms of the supernatural. They have also been explored through the lens of psychology. In modern psychology, the concept of the egregore has been explored as a way to understand the power of collective thought and belief. Rather than seeing egregores as literal spiritual entities, psychologists view them as manifestations of a psychological force created by the thoughts, emotions, and desires of a group of people, often without anyone fully realizing it. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung developed the idea of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of human experience and archetypes that influence our thoughts, behaviors, and perceptions. In some ways, egregores can be seen as emerging from this collective unconscious, as symbols or ideas that gain power through shared belief. Once a group invests enough energy into a particular idea, that idea can take on a life of its own, influencing the group's behavior and even shaping their reality. The idea of egregores has also been used to explain mass movements, religious fervor, and even social and political ideologies. When large groups of people focus their energy on a particular belief or cause that drives actions, decisions, and outcomes on a grand scale. But while the psychological perspective provides a rational explanation for the power of egregores, the supernatural interpretation still lingers in the shadows, haunting our understanding of these collective entities. Now, let us explore 3 notable examples of egregores, each one illustrating the strange and unsettling power of collective thought. In occult practice, servitors are a form of egregore, intentionally created by a magician or group to perform a specific task. Servitors are believed to be thought forms, given life and purpose through ritual and concentrated intent. Some occultists claim to have created servitors to protect themselves, bring luck, or influence events in their favor. These servitors are often imagined as simple, non-sentient entities designed to carry out their creator's will. But there are warnings. Servitors, like egregores, can become autonomous. If they are given too much power or not properly controlled, they may take on a will of their own, leading to unintended consequences. In Tibetan Buddhist thought, there exists a concept similar to the egregore known as the tulpa. A tulpa is a being or object created through deep meditation and focused thought. Unlike egregores in Western esoteric traditions, tulpas are typically solitary creations, brought into existence by a single person rather than a group. However, they share a key similarity: the idea that concentrated thought can manifest a physical or semi-physical entity in the world. Western explorers and occultists, such as Alexandra David Neal, who traveled to Tibet in the early 20th century, claim to have encountered tulpas. In one particularly famous account, David Neal wrote of creating a tulpa in the form of a monk, only for it to eventually take on a mind of its own. The tulpa began to act independently, and David Neal struggled to banish it, warning of the dangers of creating such thought forms. Perhaps the most fascinating and unsettling example of egregores in the modern world can be found in political and social movements. When large groups of people come together with shared beliefs, desires, and goals, their collective energy can create an entity that drives the movement forward, shaping the behavior of its followers and even influencing global events. Some historians and sociologists argue that totalitarian regimes, such as Nazi Germany or Stalinist Russia, can be understood as egregores. The ideologies that fueled these regimes became so powerful that they took on a life of their own, consuming individuals and societies in their wake. The fervor of the masses, combined with the symbols and rituals of the regime, created an entity that transcended any one leader or individual, driving the collective consciousness toward destruction. In these cases, the egregore is not a supernatural entity, but a psychological one, yet its power is no less real. The tension between the spiritual and scientific explanations of egregores is at the heart of their mystery. For those who approach the concept from a spiritual perspective, egregores are real, living entities, beings of thought and energy that can exert influence on the physical world. Occultists, mystics, and spiritual seekers believe that these entities can be created intentionally through ritual, meditation, and shared belief. They are seen as powerful tools for manifesting desires, connecting with higher realms, or even protecting against harm. From this perspective, egregores are more than just symbols or psychological constructs. They are forces that live within and beyond the minds of those who create them, capable of shaping reality in subtle and profound ways. But for psychologists and skeptics, the egregore is a metaphor for the power of the human mind. It represents the collective consciousness of a group, the way in which shared beliefs, emotions, and thoughts can create a powerful psychological force. Social movements, religious cults, and even corporate cultures can be seen as manifestations of this collective force, driving behavior, influencing decisions, and shaping the world in ways that often feel beyond individual control. Ultimately, the truth may lie somewhere in between. Whether seen as supernatural entities or psychological phenomena, egregores reveal the incredible power of the human mind to shape its own reality, both for better and for worse. Thank you for joining us tonight at Phantom Astronaut's Midnight Mystery School. If these stories of egregores and the power of collective thought have intrigued you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps this Midnight Mystery School alive, allowing us to continue exploring the strange and unknown. For more ways to support the channel, check the links in the description below. I'm Phantom Astronaut, and I will see you out there.